Hi, I'm Nan Arkwright. I'm a pediatric occupational therapist. I have written a book called What Could Be Going On? And the reason I wrote the book is because with many of the children that I work with in my social skills groups and my individual sessions, kids sometimes attribute something to another child or to a sibling or to a parent that actually is not quite accurate, but they don't understand another explanation for what they're experiencing and the feelings that they're having, the emotions that they're experiencing. So I wanted to let kids know through playing a little game in the book that there can be other ways that we might be thinking about something that would actually feel better than the way that maybe a child is thinking about in the moment. So I'll share my screen to share a little bit more about what I mean by that. So here's the book, What Could Be Going On? The story came from a trip that I took to the Galapagos, and the sea lions were just adorable. They would swim with us. They tried to get into the little boats with us. They were very friendly. They liked hanging around and seeing what was going on. And then they were just so much fun to watch on the beach. They're so playful and they hang out in groups. They like to be with their friends. And they just inspired me to put them into a story. So that's where that came from. And actually, part of my dedication says to kids who are full of joy, just like sea lions, what a delight to be in their midst. And that's how I feel. So even though I don't get to be in the Galapagos seeing the sea lions every day, I do get to see the kids most days of the week. So it keeps me happy to be with them. So this is the beginning of the story that's I have to kind of scroll through because when the book is actually printed, it will look different from this. The pages are side by side, but the way that it's set up right now on digitally, it looks like this. So Inigo is just coming home from school. He's having a snack and he's telling his mom about what happened. And he said, oh, we were just swimming around. And all of a sudden I saw that Pecas had something in his slipper and he was showing it to our friend, Poppy, but he wouldn't show me. So there's the first thing right there. He wouldn't show me, sort of indicating that, how he's viewing the situation is maybe different than really what happened. So his mom says, yeah, I know. Your teacher told me that you shoved him. And he said, yeah, it wasn't fair because he was feeling like he wouldn't show me. That's not fair. He showed my friend. And so that's where he went. And then, as you'll see in the part where I have a guest with me, we'll talk about this kind of thinking and how our thoughts can impact how we feel and what we do, either in a positive way or in a negative way. So his mom in this story is going to go a little, show him that there are other ways through to think about what happened that you might like a little bit differently. So she doesn't really go through this thinking with him. But again, I've added some resources for people viewing the book and the videos to help understand how you might notice the kind of thinking that a child might be having and how you might reframe that thinking, look out a different window, something that helps them see maybe it was different than what you initially thought if we take a minute and pause and look at things a little bit differently. So he and his mom played a little game to help him learn about this. And this is a game also that you can play with your child. This is all set up on the extra this activities that will be available on my website that will be fun to do at home in the same way. So if your child comes home with a story that's very upsetting, you might be able to read the book in the moment and then follow up with, I wonder if this might have been, if there might have been another explanation for what happened. But not that comes after some of my other videos I've done on some of my other books talk about first be there with your child, hear the upset, be present. And that's what the mom here is modeling before she steps into thinking through a little bit differently what might be actually going on. he may be completely right, of course, but there also might be another explanation. So she just helps him be able to calm enough to be able to think about possibly there could have been something else going on. So his mom is giving him the words that he maybe doesn't know himself. Oh, I'm guessing you felt left out. Some kids might know the word excluded. And again, he's on this thinking about people being mean to sea lions being mean to him. And then he kind of impulsively says, well, I don't want to be his friend anymore, which is what I hear a lot. Like, I'm not playing with you. I think probably most people have heard kids say, you're not my best friend anymore, or things like that. And so it's just a response, but it doesn't mean that's really what they mean. They're just hurt in the moment and they need someone to help them work through that, process through what's going on. So his mom's saying, yeah, that doesn't feel very good because he's one of your best friends. And and then again, Inigo's like, no, he's not my friend anymore. So um, his mom is trying to again probe a little bit with him. So do you think if you stop being friends with him, you won't feel left out like that again? So is his solution to the problem never to be friends again so we won't have that feeling again? And he's saying, yeah, that's right. If feeling left out hurts. And then now his mom's getting deeper and saying, oh, is that what made you push him then? You wanted him to hurt also. And he goes, yeah. And so, and then his mom's asking pointedly again, would that make it fair? And for many kids, that is what they think makes it fair, makes it feel better. Like you did this to me, I'm going to do this back to you. Because it's just an immature, impulsive response because they don't know what else to how else to explain it, what else to do. So that's what the value of the story is, to help kids understand there are other options. There's other ways to think through things. So then his mom says, tell me more, which is a great sentence to say to a child when they're upset, because it opens the door and it lets them know you're there and you don't have anywhere to go. You're ready to see what they're going through, hear them, feel them, and ultimately soothe them. So that's what the mom has in her mind when she's helping him right now. And he's saying, yeah, at school I was really angry and that's why I pushed, but now I'm mostly sad because he doesn't really not want to be friends, but he doesn't know what else to do. So that's what his mom says. Yeah, well, it doesn't feel that great. And Inigo says, well, and my birthday party's this weekend. It's not going to be very much fun. Now he's kind of regretting what he did and the choice that he made, but he says outright, I don't know what to do. Emotions are complicated for adults as well. And so he's not sure, what am I supposed to do now? And he does need the guidance of his mom. So his mom asks, well, um, would you like to solve the problem? But she's cautious, like, are you in a place ready to move on, or do you need a little bit more time to just be with your big feelings, to have these emotions, to be present with me, to be soothed? And then she says, well, are you up for a game? And he goes, well, yeah, I guess. I don't know how that's going to help, but okay. And so here's the game that they're going to play. And his mom says, okay, so we take turns reading a card. And if we can answer the question, we get to ring the bell and spin the spinner and move forward on this game board. So she says, I'll go first to show you. So the problem on the card is your friend didn't say hi to you this morning. What could be going on? So here are a lot of ideas. Kids come up with all kinds of ideas when I play games similar to this and things that I wouldn't have thought of, but it gives me such great insight into their thinking and helps me know what direction to go in with them once I have a little bit more information from them. So he's ready to go and he just blurts out, he doesn't like me anymore. So, or he doesn't like you anymore because it's one step removed. It's not really about him. It's about some character, which feels a little bit safer. But as you'll see toward the end of the story, it becomes very personal for him. And that's the point. And for it to kids to understand out there through role playing, stuffed animals, things like that, and then bring it closer to their own personal experience. And so his mom says, yeah, so what else might be a possibility? And he says, well, he's late and he's hurrying to class. So he's just not even paying attention, doesn't even notice me because his mind is on getting to class. And his mom, and then Inigo's idea is, well, maybe he didn't even hear you, which is great because a kid might be in their head. They might be listening to music. Who knows? They just might not have heard it at all. And so then his mom says, well, what if he has to get to the bathroom quick? Because that happens to me all the time. Kids are like, I gotta come to the bathroom really quick. And it's often an emergency. And they're still learning about those things. And so Inigo's starting to get the hang of it and goes, yeah, maybe he was even feeling sick and needed to get into the bathroom. So his mom says, yeah, we found lots of possibilities that might explain that. And then Inigo says, well, except one's not really very likely, and that is that he doesn't like you anymore because it says he's a friend. So we're touching a little bit on, that's probably not really true about your friends showing something to each other, but not showing it to you. They are your friends. So something's already not resonating quite right with him. He's starting to already think about that. But they ring the bell and move on to the next game. So he's excited to move the marker forward, and he spins a 6 and he gets to move forward 6 squares. And he says, okay, let's try another one. I'll read it. And this one says, your friend is sitting at your table making annoying noises. What can be going on? Well, I put this in here because this is something that really bothers kids. They might do it themselves, but they don't like to hear somebody else doing it. Singing being one of the top things that kids don't like to hear from other kids, and just any kind of noise making. And for many of the kids I work with, it truly is just distracting to hear somebody else tapping their pencil or uh, talking to themselves, just fiddling with something that is distraction. Those kinds of things do bother kids, and it can make it hard for them to focus and pay attention. And so the suggestions for maybe explaining this is that maybe he doesn't even realize it, which is typically the case. Kids are not self-monitoring, not paying attention to that, not thinking about their impact on others, because they're just doing it and not even realizing that they're singing or something. And then another possibility is maybe there's a song stuck in your head and just can't stop. And then also for some kids, they do make noises because they're actually trying to block out other kids' noises or just environmental sounds, and that can help with that. So again, part of the reason for putting that in the book is to raise awareness that sometimes kids are really struggling with this, and that might be missed by an adult or misunderstood by a peer. So there are lots of reasons. Let's ring the bell and do another one. They get to move forward on the board. And then they read the next card. And the card says, your friend doesn't want to copy spelling words from the board. What could be going on? So this certainly in a classroom can look like noncompliance, looks like willful behavior, but it's typically not, because I feel that kids will do well if they can. And so if they're not doing something, then looking under the hood to see what might be going on, why would it be that challenging for a child that they just won't even participate in doing it, even though they look around and see that other kids are doing it? They themselves don't have an explanation for that, but there must be something about it that's hard for them. So I tried to include that in here. One, for other kids to be sort of aware that that doesn't mean those kids are quote unquote bad, because kids generally just think in black and white terms. You're a good kid because you copied from the board. You're a bad kid if you didn't do your work. But of course, that's their language and it's not accurate at all, but they don't know how to explain it. So I'm trying to, again, bring to the attention of readers and listeners that maybe we can have a better understanding of other kids' needs and maybe less judgment about them if we understand what might be going on. So maybe he's afraid to ask for help. Many kids don't want to ask a question, not even if they can go to the bathroom. And so they would rather sit there and do nothing than be asking a question to ask for help. And the next idea is it might take too long. So for many kids, yeah, copying from the board could take forever because maybe there's a vision issue, maybe there's a difficulty with being able to remember like a phrase that you copy down by the phrase, but rather some kids might be copying letter by letter. And if it's hard to see long, far, like at a blackboard or a whiteboard or a smartboard, and then bring it to your paper, that task itself, one letter at a time, can be very laborious and very hard for kids to sustain. And so lots of times we don't know. This is why I put the glasses there. Maybe the glasses are needed, maybe eye tracking exercises are needed. It's hard to know, but that's a possibility for a child. And maybe the child broke a pencil. And again, kids will tell me that they cross out, scribble on the paper because there's not an eraser available for them at their desk. But they just think that's the way it is instead of thinking, maybe I could ask if there's something more so I can erase rather than scribble out. So they wrap up this scenario, and his mom saying, yeah, those are all possibilities. But I wanted to make the distinction here that some of the other things are actually things that probably other kids can, maybe with some help by an adult, but um, kind of work out on their own and figure out solutions or get help so that solutions can be found. But in this case, nobody's going to understand that, oh, maybe they need glasses, or people aren't going to understand some of the other situations that I mentioned there, like just hesitancy to speak up for themselves or not having the ability or practice enough experiencing the asking type of situation. So they're just reluctant to do that. But those are really more things that an adult needs to can look into more deeply and try to discover what else might be going on that's been not just superficial, but something that's really needs to be addressed by a specialist. So they're excited because the game's almost over, just one more turn, and then they could win. And so this is a cooperative game. I have another book out called No Keto No. Keto learns about winning and losing. But that's not the point of this one. This one is more of a cooperative game because it's more supportive. The mom is trying to support him, trying to guide him, trying to teach him, which is very different than having a game where, oh, I won, you did not win. So she's just trying to help him think differently, open up that process for him. And so the question was, your friend gives a classmate a sticker, but he doesn't give you one. What could be going on? So now it's really coming close to home for him. And he recognizes that and says, oh, that's kind of like how Pecas showed Poppy something, but not you. And he says, yeah, I get it now. There are lots of reasons why he might not give you a sticker. Maybe he doesn't have any more stickers to share. And then his mom adds, yeah, maybe he doesn't know you want one. And then Inigo says, maybe he's just letting the other kids see the sticker, but not giving it to him. And there's even more ideas. Maybe he has one in his pocket and plans to give it to you later. Or what if the sticker has the other kid's name on it? Or maybe he's trying to make the other kid feel welcome because it's his first day at a new school. So many possibilities that would explain, but you have to ask, or you have to assume the best, or you have to just move on and think, whatever, like it's not really important. To me, I just want to play. So they run out of ideas of things to explain what maybe was going on because we don't know. It's just hypothetical. And so they ring the bell and they win the game and like, woohoo. And then Inigo starts thinking then like, well, maybe Pecas had a reason for not showing me what he had in his flipper. And his mom's like, yeah, I wonder that too. when we don't know what could be going on, we can stop and think through the situation, kind of like this. And there's probably a simple explanation for it, and probably not a negative one either. If we want to know the reason, we could ask, or we can just move on and believe our friend is kind and really wouldn't do anything mean to us on purpose. So he's starting to feel better about it. And his mom's kind of reading his body language and kind of encouraging him to think about some positives. Like he's kind of back on the path of, well, maybe he is my friend. Maybe there was nothing to it after all. And maybe I made a mountain out of a molehill when there was actually no problem at all. And so he's remembering that the things that he likes about his friend. His friend is helpful. He likes to, in turn, be helpful to his friend. And then his mom's acknowledging, yeah, those are very nice things to do. And then now Inigo, because his mom has sat with him, worked through this, processed it with him through playing something fun for him, she has been able to calm him. So now he can start thinking, actually, instead of just having feelings about this. So he says, yeah, now that I'm calm, I see that instead of getting upset, I could just ask what's going on, and that would feel better. So mom gives him a big hug, and they clean up the snack they were having, and then she's asking him about, would you like to go hunt for some underwater treasures? And then invites him to think about having Pecas come along. So sort of the test, like, are you able to accept that maybe there was nothing actually going on? And are you able to go ahead and resume your relationship with him and just assume the best of him? And so he says, okay, yeah, that sounds like something he wants to do. So few days later, it's his birthday party, and Pecas gives Inigo his gift. And he says to him, remember on the playground when I showed Poppy something in my flipper? I didn't want you to see it because I was planning to give it to you for your birthday. Not something that he and his mom even thought of as an explanation. So now when you open your gift, you'll finally know what I had in my flipper. I'm glad we're friends. And then Inigo says, ah, of course, they don't understand, but in his mind, so that was what was going on. So that's the story. And so I enjoyed writing the story. I love the characters in the story and the illustrations that were done to go along with the story. And I hope that you will be able to think of these things when you read the book to your child. This video, of course, is for adults, but the book is something that ideally you will have these ideas that I've just gone over in the video in mind when you read it with your child, because I like for the books to be conversation starters for kids, like springboards for conversations, like, let's talk about this. Has this ever happened to you? But also, if something similar happens to a child, it's an opportunity to say, wait, let's go back and think about what happened to Inigo. Maybe that's something that happened in this situation as well. Let's look into it a little bit, or pull out the board game, which will be on my website. And I'll follow up with another video with a guest to talk about that and how to use it and so forth. And so these are all fun things that I think can be valuable to kids as a classroom reading as well, to try to have more empathy for each other and to try to have a different kind of way of thinking that is more forgiving of others and more accepting and inclusive of others. So that's the goal of the story. And so I hope you'll tune in for the second video, where we talk a little bit more about the resources that are valuable for adults as well as for kids. Thank you.